There is a version of you that most people never get to see. Not because you hide it, but because most people simply do not have the capacity to recognize it. You have probably spent a good portion of your life feeling like you exist slightly outside the crowd. Not lonely, exactly. Not broken. Just different in a way you could never quite put into words. Here is what psychology actually says about that feeling. It is not random. It is not in your head. It is a signal. And today, we are going to decode exactly what that signal means. Researchers who study human personality have identified a very specific set of traits that appear together in a small percentage of people. Not traits linked to intelligence or talent or success. Traits linked to how a person fundamentally experiences being alive. The depth they feel, the way they think, the questions they carry, the connections they make that other people completely miss. If you belong to this group, you already know something is different about you. You have known for a long time. What you may not know is why. These are 7 signs that you are a uniquely wired kind of human. And every single one of them is backed by real psychological research. Sign 1. You do not just have thoughts. You have entire worlds inside a single thought. Most people think horizontally. One idea connects to the next in a straight, manageable line. You think vertically. One idea drops you 10 levels deeper before the conversation has even moved on. Someone says something casually at dinner, and 3 hours later, you are still somewhere inside that sentence, finding meaning in it that the person who said it never intended. Psychologists call this associative thinking at depth. It is not distraction. It is not overthinking. It is a mind that is wired to extract maximum meaning from minimum input. The average person hears a statement. You hear a statement and everything underneath it. Sign 2. You read people the way other people read text. You walk into a room. You immediately notice the person who is smiling, but whose eyes are not smiling. The 2 friends whose laughter is slightly too loud. The silence between 2 people that is saying more than any words could. Nobody told you any of this. You just felt it. Social neuroscience research has found that certain individuals process emotional information from their environment with significantly higher sensitivity. It is not a personality quirk. It is a measurable neurological difference in how the brain registers and responds to the emotional states of others. For you, human emotion is not background noise. It is a language you have been reading your entire life, whether you wanted to or not. Sign 3. You have an almost physical reaction to dishonesty. Not just lying. Inauthenticity in any form. The conversation where everyone is performing. The relationship where nothing real is ever said. The environment built entirely on appearances. Other people can move through those spaces without much discomfort. You cannot. Your nervous system registers inauthenticity almost like a warning signal. Psychologists who study value-driven personality structures have consistently found that individuals with deeply integrated personal values experience social dishonesty not just as unpleasant, but as genuinely stressful at a physiological level. You are not being dramatic. Your body is responding to something real. You are simply wired to need truth the way other people need air. Sign 4. You are still processing things that happened years ago. Not obsessing. Processing. There is a difference, and it matters enormously. A conversation you had in 2019. A moment that everyone else present has completely forgotten. You are still finding layers in it. Still understanding something about it that you could not understand when it was actually happening. Dr. Elaine Aron's foundational research on deep sensory and cognitive processing found that certain individuals extract significantly more meaning, nuance, and emotional data from their experiences than the general population. Their brains do not move on quickly because they are not finished yet. You are not stuck in the past. Your brain is doing a level of processing that most minds simply do not perform. Before we get into the final 3 signs, pause for just a second. Think about how many times in your life someone told you that you were too sensitive or too in your head. Think about how many times you accepted that as a flaw. What if it was never a flaw? What if it was a feature you were never given the right language to understand? That is exactly what the next 3 signs are going to give you. Keep watching. Sign 5. You would rather stand still than move in the wrong direction. There is enormous cultural pressure to keep moving, to grow, to hustle, to achieve, to level up. And yet you keep stopping. Keep asking questions that most people around you find genuinely confusing. But what is this for? Is this actually what I want? Does any of this actually mean anything? This is not a lack of drive. This is a different relationship with purpose. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who developed meaning-centered psychology after surviving the Holocaust, argued that human beings are not primarily motivated by pleasure or success. They are motivated by meaning. And when meaning is absent, effort becomes hollow, no matter how impressive the results look from the outside. You feel that absence more acutely than most. It is not a weakness. It is an extremely high standard for how you choose to spend the hours of your life. Sign 6. Part of you is always watching. Even in your most present moments, there is a quiet observer running in the background. You are at a party, fully engaged, laughing, talking. And simultaneously, there is a part of you watching yourself do all of that. Noticing, witnessing your own experience as it unfolds. Cognitive psychologists refer to this as metacognitive awareness, the ability to observe your own mental processes in real time. It is considered one of the higher-order functions of human consciousness, and research consistently finds it more developed in certain individuals than others. It gives you an unusual relationship with your own life, richer in some ways, more complex in others. Like watching a film you are also starring in, simultaneously the audience and the actor, never fully losing yourself in either role. Sign 7. The big questions never left you. Most people spend time with the deep questions during adolescence. What is the meaning of life? What is real? What does it mean to actually live well? And then, somewhere in adulthood, they quietly set those questions down. Life gets busy. Practicality takes over. The questions get filed away under things we do not have time for. You never filed them away. They travel with you. They surface on Tuesday afternoons, in the middle of otherwise ordinary moments, not as existential crisis, as genuine, persistent, restless curiosity. Research in the psychology of wisdom has found that the capacity to hold open, unanswered questions without needing to resolve them immediately is one of the strongest predictors of psychological depth and long-term intellectual development. You did not stop asking. That is not confusion. That is a mind that has refused at every stage to stop looking. 7 signs, 7 patterns, all pointing toward the same quiet truth. Being uniquely wired is not about being better. It is not about standing apart or collecting personality traits like trophies. It is about understanding the specific texture of how you experience being alive, the depth you carry, the sensitivity you cannot switch off, the need for meaning that refuses to be satisfied by things that look good but feel empty. These were never problems waiting to be solved. They were always just the shape of your particular mind. And a mind like that, understood clearly, is not a burden. It is something genuinely worth being. If this video felt specific to you, that is not a coincidence. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit subscribe if you want more psychology content that actually goes beneath the surface. And next, we are looking at why uniquely wired people often feel most alone in a crowded room, and what the science says about finding your people. That one is going to hit differently. I will see you there.